Good morning, everybody. So today we're going to be talking about the different types of disability that you possibly qualify for. Now, while many believe they are disabled, they don't really know how the disability system works. So in essence, there's two different types of disability. One, you're paying into the system. You're earning what is called work credits, the same as you qualify for retirement. And then the other is essentially welfare because you did not pay into the system. It is actually given to you by the federal government, the Social Security Administration, funded through by taxpayers. Okay, so ultimately what you essentially want to do is really be able to qualify for what's called SSDI. SSDI is the Social Security Disability Insurance. In essence, it really truly is like an insurance policy. It has the same characteristics as a long-term disability policy would through a private insurer. And believe it or not, you do have to qualify even through a private insurer. You can't just claim that you're long-term disabled and they start to pay you. So it can be the same thing. So let's talk about the characteristics of SSDI. So again, SSDI is what you've been paying into the system. You've been earning work credits for it, and you've been getting a steady paycheck for the last 20 some odd years. You've been working. Since you're like 22, you're now 42, for example, you've been paying into the system and you become impaired in some physical or mental condition or a combination of both, and you can no longer work. Okay, so what SSDI does is it will pay you roughly what you would have earned if you would have been 62 at that income level. It's roughly around that amount. Okay, so if you had taken early retirement. Okay, so what are some of the characteristics about SSDI? Well, first and foremost, you have to know the definition of what it means to be disabled. So you have to have a severe condition. So let's talk about having a severe condition. Your condition cannot be moderate. It can't disrupt your ability to work at a minimal amount. It's got to severely interrupt your ability or, keep you from being able to work. Also, too, one of the other characteristics of SSDI is that you're not qualified to receive it for 5 months after your onset date. So let's say you're working and you work up until January, you stop working January 1st, and you file for disability on January 2nd, alleging that you were disabled as of January 1st, 2016. Well, Social Security is not going to credit you any back pay if your claim takes, say, for example, 1 year. For those first 5 months through May, you would not qualify until June. So if your case was resolved January of 2017, you would receive 7 months of back pay, not 12 months of back pay. So that's one of the characteristics with SSDI. You don't qualify during that 5 month short-term disability time frame. Okay. The other thing, too, is a lot of people ask, well, what's back pay? Well, back pay is, let's say you do become disabled you do file for disability on January 1st, 2016. Okay. Let's say you allege that you became disabled on January 1st of 2015, and it takes 1 year to resolve your claim. And you resolve your claim on January 1st, 2017. Okay, so we have an onset date, a date when you said you were disabled as of January of 15. You file January of 2016. You get your case gets approved January of 2017. Okay, so what we roughly have in between here is 24 months. So you're going to minus 5, which is the short-term disability. So now you have 19 months of back pay that the government should have been paying you as your case would have been approved until they finally do pay you. So that is what's called back pay. Under the Social Security system, you know, it's an administration with limited resources as far as employees, personnel, etc. So when a lot of people file in the system, it takes a while to get medical records, render a decision, issue a decision, etc. So you have to be patient when filing for disability. Okay, so SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, that's what you're ultimately wanting to get, okay? As long as you are not working and making over $1,130, $30 a month gross, you can maintain that SSDI payment if you're medically disabled, okay? Now, the other thing along with it, too, is that if you put money back in retirement, if you have a 401k, etc., or you're earning money from a retirement account, etc., those do not keep you from being able to get SSDI. You paid into the system, you earned it, you got work credits. Okay, and real quick, we'll finish up here when SSDI is with work credits. Work credits are important. So for every year you work, you earn 4 work credits if it's over a certain amount. And the amounts are really minimal. So anybody who's working part-time in a full year at minimum wage is going to basically earn 4 work credits. So for the average person you have to have 20 work credits, which is 5 years out of a 10-year span in order to maintain that SSDI, the way that you can still, so that you can maintain SSDI, the work credits, the insurability. You can maintain insurability if you want to use that word. So if a person has been working consistent and maybe taken off a year and then gone back to work, and then maybe taken off a year and gone back to work, there'll be a look back period of 10 years. If you've worked 5 out of the last 10 years consistently, you're going to maintain that status. That's very important. Now we talk about SSI, which is your supplemental security income. Okay. Again, it's just like welfare. So for SSI purposes, it is severely different. It's incredibly different than SSDI, but in the same way, you still have to qualify for both of them in the same way. So they're similar and very different. Okay, for SSI, the medical portion is the exact same. You have to have a severe disability that severely interrupts your ability to work, okay? But you're not going to have enough work credits to qualify for SSI. So there's another step involved in there. You have to now qualify financially. And that's what's really important for SSI. It has financial limitations, not only on the assets that you own, the cash that you own, car, house, etc., but it also pays out a lot of times much less than SSDI. So it actually, the maximum amount it's going to pay out for an individual in 2016 is $733 a month. All right. You don't have enough work credits. So you apply for SSI. Okay. So you will, if you're using an attorney will go through the medical portion, your disability report, etc. will do all that with you. Then you were in the past, it just hasn't really happened so much right now because Social Security is so busy. In the past, Social Security would contact the claimant, that being you, and would ask for a time in which to set up to do the financial application, the SSI application. And so the Social Security generally handles that portion. If you have under $2,000 in assets, $2,000 in non-exempt assets. If you own a house and a car and like small things like a wedding ring, etc., those are things that are exempt that don't count against your asset limit. But this is for people that really, they usually don't have any problem qualifying unless they have a spouse that's working. So you get a maximum of $733 a month, but that $733 is also what your limit is on your ability to earn as well, okay? On top of that, if you do work, a certain portion of money comes out of that payment, and it reduces your payment. And not to mention what's called the 1/3 rule. And under the 1/3 rule, a lot of people that are needing to qualify for SSI have usually lost their house. They don't have any assets or whatever, and they're usually staying with somebody else. So under the 1/3 rule, Social Security says, hey, if you're getting food and shelter from somebody else, under the 1/3 rule, Social Security is going to dock that $733 by 1/3. And if you don't have any other deductions coming off of your SSI payment, it leaves you with $466 a month. Not much to live off of. Now, on top of that, where a lot of people do not qualify for SSI is, I'll give you the scenario of the stay-at-home mom. The mom that stayed home for 18 years and raised her children, okay? But then she became disabled, and her husband's been working the whole time. Okay, well, she doesn't have work credits, and she wants to apply then for SSI, but the husband makes more than $1,100 a month. That is the household income limit for SSI as well. So that person conceivably is disqualified from both SSDI and SSI. And sometimes you just do not fit in the system. You don't qualify. Even if you have a medical condition, you just do not fit in the system where you can receive money. Now, for example, I do have clients in California that go ahead and apply for SSI or for SSDI, that they're applying for the Medicare or Medicaid portion of it. So that gets tricky as well. Anyhow, so I hope you can understand the difference between SSDI and SSI. It's very important. Now, last but not least, when you do qualify for SSDI, if your payment is less than $733 a month, and you do have those, you don't have anything over the SSI limits, the non-exempt limits. You don't have more than $2,000 in cash, things like that. Then what you can do is also apply for SSI and use it as what it's intended actually for, is the supplement. The supplement portion is actually really important because it can go from, say, a $500 payment with a $233 supplement to add to it, and then you've got a $733 a month payment. Before you file, look at your financial situation. If you don't know whether or not you qualify for SSDI, what you simply need to do is go down to your local office and have them print off a work summary report and see if you have enough work credits. They go down, each year is listed, and it has four alphabet letters going down, but they all say either N or C. So in those quarters along with each year, you're going to be able to understand that you get a credit or it's a non-credit. And you can count them up. If you've got 20 out of 40 out of the last 10 years, then you're going to more than likely qualify for SSDI on the financial portion. You again still have to go through on the medical. SSI, you don't have the work credits. Okay, well then on SSI, you need to do just the opposite. Actually, you need to evaluate your property, the property that you own, your income, your family income. More than likely, if you're needing to qualify for SSI, you already know what your personal income is. It's going to be slim to none. And whether or not you're living with somebody, and if they can, if that 1/3 rule is going to count against you. Often, the 1/3 rule is handled quite simple. If you are living with somebody and they are charging you rent in which to live, even if it's sleeping on your couch, then you're not subject to the 1/3 rule. And if you have a signed lease with them, etc., then Social Security will accept that and they won't dock your pay by 1/3 your monthly check. Okay? Last but not least, once you do get on disability, most people are reevaluated after every 3 years. So if you did get on disability, congratulations. But at some point, you're likely to be told you have to go to work. And so what you want to be doing is while you're on disability, keep documenting your limitations and keep your medical evidence, medical records up to date, and keep going to the doctor. That's probably the most important thing you can do once you get on disability. Take care. See you guys tomorrow.